We have the privilege of hearing a special address from none other than Dr. Bhaskar Chatterjee, Senior Advisor, CSR and ESG at Deloitte India and Dua Consulting, and former Director General and CEO, Indian Institute of Corporate Affairs. Widely regarded as the father of CSR in India, Dr. Chatterjee was instrumental in framing the CSR guidelines for public sector enterprises in 2010 and driving the inclusion of Section 135 in the Companies Act 2013, milestones that institutionalized CSR in the country. Dr. Chatterjee has also served as Secretary to the Government of India and as Director General and CEO of the Indian Institute of Corporate Affairs, where he established the National Foundation for CSR. Currently, he chairs the National ESG Committee at the Bureau of Indian Standards, guiding the development of India's ESG frameworks. Dr. Chatterjee, the stage is yours.
Good afternoon to all of you, and let me start by congratulating the National CSR Network for choosing a topic which is so germane, so relevant, and so topical for all of us sitting here in this room, and more importantly, for our own nation, Bharat or India. The theme of this particular conclave is the integration of CSR and ESG. And the question we need to ask ourselves is simply this: why is this so important? Why is the necessity of CSR and ESG integration so important? Many said in the distinguished panel before me that they are inherent in us. Our Shastras have taught us that it is inherent in the very DNA of every Indian, which is fine. But that won't do in today's current environment. If you look at CSR and ESG, the answer why lies in the ethos of these two elements, CSR and ESG. CSR comes about when, all of you would say, 1st of April 2014. Where was the seed first laid? 1st of April 2010. Why 10? Because the guidelines for CSR were written for public sector undertakings, and they came into being on the 1st of April 2010. It is those guidelines which were then collated together to bring in Section 135, which we did on the 1st of April 2014. That CSR which we formulated is the Bharatiya model of CSR. It was for India, by India, of India. It was curated for our own nation. Whether we took it, ideas from Porter or Kramer or whoever, but it was made for our own country. And it got initially started voluntary, as you rightly said, but now has become pretty much mandated, because unlike all the wonderful things that people say, it is not done till in some ways you are asked for it to do, and also to measure. Why do we have a 2% law? If you said do it out of the goodness of your heart, you would never know what was the spend. How does ESG come in? ESG was also investor driven. One of you said in the previous panel, investors ask us when we go for borrowing, What are you doing on your ESG front? And unless we are able to reply cogently, the borrowings don't come, because internationally and nationally, these have become imperatives. Again, ESG for us is a Bharatiya model. Why? Because we didn't adopt it lock, stock, and barrel from what the EU told us or what the US told us. BRR, Business Responsibility Reporting, comes into India when? Anyone quickly? Correct. Why? It comes into India because we realize that trends are changing. And we need to adopt for India as a natural succession, madam, correctly, to the national voluntary guidelines. So when we framed 2012 BRR, and I went all the way to the SEBI boardroom to present my case, it got mandated. For whom? No, top 100. Everybody is reluctant to move the envelope forward. But in that boardroom, we made a convincing case. And the top 100 got mandated to submit business responsibility reporting. Then why in 2021 do we bring in BRSR? Anyone? The creation of an Indian mandate for ESG. How do we make sure that the top companies of India report in a model suitable for our Indian business ethos? And so what I titled when I was drafting that as BRR 2, we renamed as BRSR. And so today, CSR followed by BRSR. See the beautiful succession that India has had, the cadence and the rhythm with which we have moved. India as a country, we have developed our own homegrown models for ourselves. And it is this continuity, it is this coupling, it is this synergy that absorbs these two elements of CSR and ESG. So what I'm trying to say is for you to try and remember these four words: convergence, alignment, intersection, and synergy. Unless we have these, we cannot move towards the integration part. And so let me give you a few thoughts on why this is so important. I've given you part of the answer, which is our ethos. From what I've said so far, it is evident that CSR is about the company's impact on society and environment, while ESG is about how these societal and environmental issues impact the company. It's a two-way street. CSR is outward facing, company to society. ESG is inward facing. What are we doing for society within our company? And you see here the coupling, the synergy between the two. That is what we need to register. Now, when I look back and I say, did I facilitate that even when I knew that ESG was going to come or not come? And I look at my vision when I was writing Section 135 and subsequently Schedule 7. Look, and those of you knowledgeable ones, look at item number 4 of Schedule 7. And let me recollect for you the words I wrote. CSR can encompass activities related to 1. Ensuring environmental sustainability. These words are written when? around 2011. Think through. What did we know then? And what do we know now, 14 years later? Protection of flora and fauna, and one gentleman rightly said in the previous panel, agroforestry, hence promoting biodiversity. Conservation of natural resources, maintaining the quality of air, water, and soil. Words written in 2011. See how they resonate in this room today in 2025. Why? Because the policymakers of that day had the foresight, the prescience, the understanding that this is what we need. And India's development trajectory would cover all of this. That's why we are privileged to have what we have today. I asked this question to the panel, and this is the hardest part. How do you integrate? We established the necessity. We established the fact that we need to. But all companies, as I look across the entire corporate landscape, and I sit on many boards, I sit as chairman of many CSR committees, it's so difficult to integrate the two. How can it be done in practical terms? And the way I see it is that it can only be done when it is top management driven. Understand this, and somebody used this word very beautifully in the last panel. Today, CSR is about the GM CSR. It's about the CSR head of a company. Who looks after ESG in a company? Quickly, anyone? No. Who looks after ESG in a company? Sorry? No. No. Who? One person in a company who looks after ESG? The company secretary. And therefore, the company secretary, one, the CSR head, another. What happens? Silos created by the company itself. Mr. Das, you would know that very well. And I can speak your language, tale udiyare pore kotha hoba. What I'm saying is, because we have created systems within the company, created silos of our own, these activities are happening parallelly. What should happen? They should happen in a single format. And we in JSPL, and I head up the CSR committee there, we've now called it the CSR and Sustainability Committee. And we have made the CSR head and the company secretary part of the same committee. And each month when we review, we say, how much has our CSR head contributed to the social part of the BRSR report? Tell me. In the next 3 months, what are the CSR projects that you will take up as part of your 2% spend, which will contribute to my BRSR report? Tell me. What are the parts of BRSR which I can now pass on to you to give us the data so that we can collate it? What happens here? The CSR is invested in the writing of the BRSR report. The company secretary is invested in having great CSR so that he can report BRSR more effectively. It is these mechanisms that more and more corporate boardrooms must develop. When that happens, true integration will happen. We're driving this in many companies, and I want you to take this back. That's the only way it'll work. But end of the day, when this integration happens, one will drive the other. And in the synergy of this, will we move towards what our Prime Minister calls the true Viksit Bharat. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for this insightful address. I invite Mr. Mohit Gandhi to felicitate Dr. Chatterjee.